And good afternoon, race fans, and welcome here to race number 9 of the debut season of the PCSRA Busch Series. Getting ready to go racing here at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. After today's race, we only have 17 more races left to go until we determine the 12 drivers that will battle out for this season's chase for the championship. So, a lot of time for drivers to get wins to try to get themselves in the top 25 in points to have their win count for a spot into the playoffs. Kevin Lambert starts on the pole position, comes in this race 24th in the points table, so been a struggling year, but he had a good run last week at Auto Club. On the flip side, Morgan Le Fay is alongside. She dropped 5 spots down to 11th in the points table. Excuse me there. Row number 2 is the number 10 of Justin Huggo, who gained 4 spots up to 12th in the points, and Elizabeth Gardner in the 81 machine. Elizabeth Gardner comes into this race situated 19th in the points table. Time for the running of the Samstown 300. 27 laps about to be run. It was a caution-free event in yesterday's Truck Series race. As you look at the rest of the starting lineup, we'll get these cars rolling off in just a second. Making sure nobody has a mechanical problem. And hold on one second. Let's try that again as the cars are now rolling off. And here's your point standings entering this race. And surprise, surprise, Annika Ricci still the points leader. It's now 8 points over Danny Rant. Lucas Albon is 11 points back, third in the standings. K Langeland, 14 points back in fourth. Jimmy Baker is fifth. Azar Amirmoez dropped down to sixth in the standings. D Marquez is 7th, April Winters 8th, Malin Lee, and Annika Ricci complete your top 10. 28 points out of the points lead. It was a caution-free event in yesterday's Truck Series race. The question I'm going to have is, are we going to have another caution-free race, or are we going to have a caution sometime this race weekend? All right, here we go, ladies and gentlemen. 27 laps about to be run in the Samstown 300. And our last West Coast race of the season. Here we go. Green flags in the air. Viva Las Vegas, y'all. Kevin Lambert gets a very good getaway. Everybody currently trying to get up to speed here. And Morgan Le Fay is going to clear the MBNA America Chevrolet. And Morgan Le Fay is going to take the lead as a result. Morgan Le Fay doing what she needs to do to have a good result here today. Now, 2 drivers come into this race outside the top 25 in points, meaning their wins would not count for a spot into the playoffs, as I'm going to take a drink of my water. Those 2 drivers are Darby King, who won a couple of weeks ago in the 46 machine, as the caution's out for the first time today. She came in this race 5 points back of 25th in the standings, and Leela Bakai comes in this race 26 back of 25th in the standings. Both need good runs to get themselves back in the top 25 in points. As the caution's out for the first time today, Emily Green is involved in whatever this incident is. Emily Green comes into this race 35th in the points. Has not been a good season And that's the driver I was just talking about, Leela Bakai involved. I was just talking about Bakai, who needed a good run. That's not going to be the case for her. So, caution's out for the first time today and of the weekend. Let's jump back and look at a replay to see what happened here in the early stages of the Samstown 300. Was just talking about Leela Bakai and Darby King right there, these two right here. Watch the 33 of Emily Green. Let's see where the contact's going to start. Or no, watch the 54, excuse me. Bruno Wood just drove in there way too tight, pushed up into the channel lock Chevrolet, nowhere for Emily Green to go, and Darby King got turned by the 54, but saved it. Unfortunately, the 43 and the 33 went into the wall, and I was just talking about Leela Mackay and Darby King both need to get a good run to get back in the top 25 in points. Well, Darby King will live to see another lap in this race, but unfortunately, Leela Mackay, 26 points back of 25th in the standings, was involved, and looks like her day is going to be done. So that cut line is going to grow after today's race, and Emily Green having a nightmare season. Two drivers that really did not need this, that are way down the points table. This is not what they need, and they're going to have to recover heading into next week at Talladega. As the caution's out for the first time today, let's jump back to the restart here at Las Vegas. Getting ready to go. Green flag racing again on lap number 8 of 27. Should give us a total of 20 laps of racing to go. Talk about that's a great way to cause a commentator's curse when you mention two drivers that are outside the top 25 in points. GG me. Anyway, Morgan Le Fay is the leader. Justin Huggo second. Jay Green is third. Malin Lee is fourth. Fifth is Kevin Lambert, our pole sitter. Elizabeth Gardner sixth. April Winter seventh. Landon Chang eighth. Danny Rant ninth. And Drake Robertson complete your top 10. Emily Green and Leela Bakai are going to be out of the race. So Leela Bakai's chances of trying to get back in the top 25 just took a major hit. And let's see where is Darby King going to line up on this restart. She is 24th and came in this race, as I said, 5 points back of 25th in the standings. So hopefully that damage did not hurt her. And she will look to try to get some points back on Tony Lopez, who comes into this race, easy for me to say, that critical 25th in the standings, as the green flag is already back out here at Las Vegas. Morgan Le Fay, part of Carnage Racing with team owner Sean Art, which we will see him tomorrow in the Winston Cup race, the Pennzoil 400, presented by Jiffy Lube at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We'll see how he will do tomorrow in the Sirius Satellite Radio Dodge. I talked about next week we're going to be heading to the Talladega Super Speedway, so we're going to go from the Neon Garage to the high banks of Talladega. Then the following week, it'll be Busch and Winston Cup coming from Michigan to wrap up the Cup Series first half of the regular season. And then we will have All-Star Race Weekend before all three series return for the Coke 600 Race Weekend, also at Charlotte. Jay Green currently in the second position in the 6 machine. Jay Green comes into this race 15th in the points. He's been having a consistent season, and don't look now. Here's this wad, led by Drake Robertson and Annika Ricci. Annika Ricci, 10th in the points table. She's a gal that's inside the top 10 in the points. Let's find out where our points leader is, Annika Ricci. She's running in the 15th position. The guy that's trying to run her down for the points lead, the 20th position, that's Danny Rand, comes in this race second in points. We'll be past the midway point of today's race. So I mentioned Talladega's next week. We'll have Busch and Winston Cup Series. Then we'll have Michigan for Busch and Winston Cup Series. Then we'll have the All-Star race at Charlotte. The Open will start at, the Open will start at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. As we're going to have the Winston Open. That's the one that will start at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Then we'll have an intermission break. And then we will have the All-Star race at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So that should be a very exciting race for that. And then, of course, we'll have Charlotte. That will all be at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for the Coke 600 weekend, which will have the trucks, we'll have the Busch, and the Winston Cup Series races. So that should be fun. And Charlotte will kick off the part I like to call the chase to the chase for the championship. But of course, we still got to finish up Las Vegas. Then we have Dega and Michigan to worry about before we even get to All-Star Race weekend. Should mention Busch and trucks will be off during All-Star Race weekend, just so we're clear on that. S Hsu running in the fourth position in the Reese's Chocolate Lovers Chevrolet. As I'm recording this, I have a chocolate candy bar that I'm having. I'm not telling you what it is. S Hsu dropped the spot down to 14th in the points. Still a good season for the driver from Smart Motorsports, the affiliation. Justin Hugo running in 5th. Gardner is 6th. 7th, Drake Robertson. Malin Lee 8th. Sally Ford 9th. And there's the points leader, Annika Ricci, running in the 10th position. And I talked about last week, at the end of last week's race at Auto Club, I thought we were going to have the streak of where a Amirmoez driver would be no longer the points leader. Well, that's not the case so far entering this week, as we're inside of 10 laps of racing to go. Of course, tomorrow's race is going to be longer for the Winston Cup Series. We're going to have 41 laps as opposed to the 27 laps we had for today's race, and also our Truck Series race we also had here yesterday. And of course, just before this race happened, this morning, as I'm recording this, we had Winston Cup qualifying, Winston Cup happy hour, preparing ourselves for the Pennzoil 400. Should be a lot of fun as far as that race is concerned. Think of the tracks we haven't been to yet this season for all three series. We have yet to go to IRP. Surprising, we have not been to Dover or Richmond or... I'm trying to think what else we haven't been to. I know we haven't been to Kansas. Surprisingly, we haven't been to Texas yet. And the other surprise, we haven't been to Daytona, surprisingly. The only super speedway we've been to, however, for all three series has been Coca-Cola. We've been to South Boston, so there you go. Or actually, let me rephrase that. We've been to 8 Bowl for the Winston Cup Series. However, I forgot to say that. That's the only series that's run 2 restrictor plate races. Busch has not ran at 8 Bowl, neither has Trucks. Busch will be racing at 8 Bowl later in the year along with Trucks. And I know we'll go to Watkins Glen later in the year. We're actually going to have all 3 series at the Glen, believe it or not. Annika Ricci trying to go for the race lead, but her car just got a little tight there. Morgan Le Fay still leads with 3 to go. There's S Hsu, Jay Green having a good run. Darby King currently in 29. Not sure where this is going to situate her. If she's going to get back in the top 25 in points, believe it or not. Daytona will be, believe it or not, for the Winston Cup Series, their last restrictor plate race of the season, believe it or not. As Busch and Busch and Trucks have only been to Coca-Cola this year. As the white flag is out, sponsored by Credit One Bank. Here comes Annika Ricci in the 1. If she wins, she's in the playoffs because she's top 10 in the points. Side by side down the back straightaway for the final time. Who is it going to be? Is it going to be the Navy Chevrolet out of Fitzbradshaw Racing or the James Finch's Yellow Dodge? And it looks like Annika Ricci is going to make a last lap pass to win the Samstown 300. Wonderful win for Annika Ricci. No doubt she's staying in the top 10 of points. And like yesterday's Truck Series race where Jared Underhill was top 10 entering the day and had to stay in the top 10 with that win, has Annika Ricci locked herself a spot into this season's chase for the championship. Standings are official. Morgan Le Fay will have to settle for second. That's still a good result for her. That's a shame. She led the most laps and lost that race, but nevertheless, she was 11th in points. This will definitely put her in the top 10 leaving today. Jay Green came home in 3rd. Good run for Jay Green. 15th in the points. Will definitely work his way possibly inside the top 10 in the points. S Hsu will get 5th. She was 14th in the points. Good run for her. Drake Robertson will get 6th, 16th in points. So a couple of drivers inside the top 20 having good runs. Elizabeth Gardner, 19th in points. 7th, Annika Ricci will get 8th. She was your points leader coming in this race. She will keep the points lead, however, heading into next week at Talladega. Malin Lee will come home 9th, and 10th will go to Diego Marquez. Let me make sure I did not derp. I did not derp. Cool. Look on down to the remainder of the finishing results. I see some big names down here at the bottom who had pretty poor results. Let's see. Azar Amirmoez is going to continue to drop through the standings. Danny Rant finished 16th, came in this race 2nd in points. Let's see. Lucas Albon, 13th. He was third in points. Kyle Langeland came home 20th. Camus raced fourth in points. Jimmy Baker's going to take a hit with a 29th place finish. Darby King finished 30th. Camus raced 26th in the points. The guy she was trying to beat was the 60 and of Tony Lopez, who finished 14th, was that 25th position in the standings. Unfortunately for her, she did not beat it, so she'll stay outside the top 25 in the points table. Noah Parker was the last car on the lead lap. We had nobody finish the lap down, and only two drivers finished out of the race, Leela Bakai and Emily Green, due to our only caution of the day. So we had a caution-free race in the truck race. We had a caution in this race. What will tomorrow's race for the Winston Cuppers be? We're going to have to wait and find out. But thank you all for joining me for today's Busch Series race, the Samstown 300, going to Annika Ricci. Has she locked herself a spot in the playoffs? We're going to have to wait and find out. If you guys enjoyed today's race, be sure to give this video a like. Subscribe to become part of the PCSRA crew today. We showed your full finish results. Your point standings are down in the description heading into next week from the high banks of Talladega Superspeedway, which we have to finish up this race weekend before we go to Talladega. The Winston Cuppers have their race at Vegas, and then we're off to Talladega next week for Busch and Winston Cup. Hope you'll join us for that. Until then, I've been D signing off. Goodbye from Las Vegas, as you've been watching yet another broadcast of PCSRA TV, where champions are made since 2010, and 15 years as the best in racing around the world since 2017. See ya tomorrow for the Winston Cup race.